state here is so big. Oh, the USA are in. Are they going to survive? I don't think they are. The USA still aren't out of this yet. They've got to try and stop it. Looks like they're gone. No, the tip of the wing is in the water.
It felt like we kind of got a little high on ride height and popped the rudder out and just planted it. There's nothing you can do in that situation. That's just racing. You can't really take your foot off the throttle, so we didn't, and it bit us.
I got no steerage.
In that bearway, once it gets to 45 degrees, you're probably not going to get that back up.
As soon as that rudder came out of the water and it was no longer sucking the hull down, the whole boat just pitches really violently forward, and it just stuffed our leeward bow in the water. It was particularly catastrophic for us because we hadn't gotten down to a real downwind angle yet. We were still sort of on a reaching angle when that happened, and so when the boat stuffed, the wing and the jib were still being pushed over to leeward by the wind.
So we're going to take a look at some of the cows data from that capsize that our team had. And one of the first things that we can look at is the rudder differential. So on these boats we can actually suck down on the windward rudder to create a downforce, and we do that by adjusting the rake of the rudder. In this case, our windward rudder was at negative 1.1 degrees and our leeward rudder was at positive 1.85. So we had around 3 degrees of rudder differential, and that might sound pretty small, but actually that's hundreds of kilos of downforce on the windward rudder. So it's hundreds of kilos of downforce on the windward stern of the boat. And what happened is, as the boat was bearing away through what we call the death zone, so that's from about 90 degrees to 120 degrees true wind angle, as we bear away off of that reach to a downwind angle, the windward rudder popped out of the water. And the reason that happened is because the boat was flying a little bit too high and the boat heeled over just a little bit too much. But as we went for that bearway right there, the boat very briefly heeled over to about 8 degrees, 8 or 9 degrees of heel. And as that happened, that was just enough for the windward rudder to pop right out. And what we see shortly thereafter is the boat goes extremely pitch down. So the boat is going from maybe negative 2 degrees of pitch, which is a pretty normal pitch for the boat, to minus 22 degrees of pitch as we stuff that bow straight into the water, and then the boat abruptly stops. So we start off at maybe 40 knots of boat speed and go all the way down to 3 knots of boat speed in the span of about 2 seconds. At that point, the boat hasn't fully capsized, but we've stopped very quickly. We're past the point of no return. There's no recovery, and the boat's going over.
The Americans miraculously back in action.
It's amazing that boat is up and racing. I can't believe they are.
All of the fairings in the front of the boat were destroyed. But the biggest thing that was probably damaged in terms of data is that our wind instruments were gone. The wind instruments are on a wand that sticks out on the front of the bowsprit. So what that meant is that the rest of the day the guys had no wind instruments, and when you don't have any wind instruments, we can't get any time to boundary, any ley lines, any start line information. All that stuff is out the window because the solutions of the way that it calculates all those things is based on wind speed and wind direction.
We salvaged some points. It wasn't pretty. The boat definitely wasn't going well. We didn't have wind gear. We didn't, hydros and electronics were pretty rough. The wings in pieces. A huge shout out to our shore team and the tech team. They jumped into action and got us back out there, which was awesome. We got around the track, so that's all that matters.